Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So here's another deck profile for you guys today. Sorry for my absence. I've been sidetracked quite a bit lately, so I just haven't had time to really bring you guys any more deck profiles, but I'll try to be more active from now on. But anyway, for today I decided to bring you guys Crystal Beast. It's actually a deck I've been wanting to reconstruct for a while, simply because there's actually a lot of cool things you can do with it. Even more so now with the advanced Crystal Beast, which I'll be honest, I wasn't too excited for them at first until I read them, well, decided to do a little bit more research, and I was like, holy crap, they can actually do some pretty crazy things with these. So that's what I wanted to show you guys today. And the build I'm presenting to you guys is basically a conclave control build. Basically what it is, like, you play Crystal Conclave, you basically keep swarming your field with Crystal Beast, but you also add stun elements to the deck too, which is pretty funny when you think about it, because like you can essentially deprive your opponent from using their graveyard with certain cards like Dimensional Shifter, Necro Valley. But again, we'll get into more detail as I go along, and yeah, let's go and get started. So the main deck is actually 44 cards. And the only reason I did that is just because I wanted to make sure I had like enough pieces just to keep playing like my deck and turboing out everything I need. And what's also funny is like the deck plays so many different spells, it's not hard to like search out everything you need. So yeah. So starting off with the monsters, playing 3 copies of Crystal Beast Sapphire Pegasus. This is actually one of your main starters when it's normal or special summoned. Or actually, yeah, just when this card is summoned in general. You can place 1 Crystal Beast monster from your hand, deck, or graveyard in your face-up spell and trap card zone as a continuous spell. And this is going to be pretty much the same gimmick with all these, with this secondary effect. When they're destroyed by battle or a card effect, you can place them on the spell and trap card zone as a continuous spell. So again, they all generally have this clause. So yeah, they never really have to hit the graveyard. All right, next, 2 copies of Crystal Beast Rainbow Dragon. So what's really cool about this card is that it has 2 different effects. If you declare an attack, or if an attack is declared involving a Crystal Beast monster, you can special summon this card from your hand, and it is a 3K body, so that's pretty nice. And then if you can banish this card, treat it as a continuous spell, special summon 1 level 4 or lower Crystal Beast monster from your deck, but negate its effects. And of course, and if you do, you can add 1 ultimate crystal monster from your deck to your hand. So basically, you get to plus off of it. Not only does it give you a free monster from your deck, but it also lets you add Rainbow Dragon directly from your deck to your hand as well. So yeah, Crystal Beast Rainbow Dragon is pretty nuts. For the one of the original Crystal Beast, aside from Sapphire Pegasus, I'm playing 1 copy of Amethyst Cat. It's really good when it comes to going into time, especially because the fact that she can attack directly. I also run 1 Cobalt Eagle. The fact that it's also a wind monster, so if your opponent tries to like lock you with the barrier statue with Flunderies, I mean, you generally do play quite a bit of wind monsters, so yeah, it's just a viable target. And plus, you can easily run over the barrier statue. And of course, 1 Ruby Carbuncle. Some people like to run this at 2, but I think 1 is perfectly fine. And yeah. Now for the Advanced Crystal Beast, I'm running 1 copy of the Advanced Crystal Beast Sapphire Pegasus. Now they all have the clause where if Advanced Dark is not on the field zone, you have to send this monster to the graveyard. But it generally does the same thing as the original one. If this card is summoned, you can place 1 Advanced Crystal Beast monster that is banished or in your hand, deck, or graveyard, face up in your spell and trap card zone. So even if they're banished, you can add it right back. So you almost never run out of your Crystal Beast monsters. Well, specifically the advanced ones. And of course, same clause, if they're destroyed by battle or card effect while they're in the monster zone, you can place them on your spell and trap card zone as continuous spells instead of sending them to the graveyard. Next, 1 copy of Advanced Crystal Beast Amethyst Cat. So like the original one, this one has a different clause though. Your Advanced Crystal Beast monsters can attack directly, but when they do, using this effect, the damage is inflicted to your opponent is half. So where Amethyst Cat can only do damage by her own stats, Advanced Crystal Beast Amethyst Cat basically enables all your Advanced Crystal Beast monsters to attack directly. So again, pretty good for time. Next, 1 copy of Advanced Crystal Beast Cobalt Eagle. You can send this from your hand, field, hand or field to the graveyard to add 1 Advanced Dark from your deck to your hand. So this searches out the Advanced Dark field spell. That way you can, make sure your Advanced Crystal Beast stay in play. And yeah, that's pretty much it with it. But what's also good about this one is that once per turn, you can target 1 Advanced Crystal Beast card you control, return it to the hand, or place it on top of the deck. So whereas Cobalt Eagle, the original one, sends it directly to the top of the deck. So you can just add them back to your hand for like follow-up or something. And of course, we got the Advanced Crystal Beast Ruby Carbuncle. And this one, unlike the original one, has a really cool effect. While this card is on your on your spell and trap card zone as a continuous spell, you can special summon this card directly from it. And if you do, you can special summon as many Advanced Crystal Beast monsters from your spell and trap card zones. And yeah, it's pretty good. So basically, it just helps you swarm the field even further. And of course, 1 copy of Rainbow Dragon. And that's generally all you'll need. And for hand traps, I'm running 3 copies of Dimensional Shifter because again, your monsters don't generally touch the graveyard. So as long as you play this, like especially like if you go second, your opponent's gonna have a hard time. And this is especially good against tier limits. It's really good against branded, in fact, because you know they need their spells and traps. What else is this really strong against? Cash tiers is a little tricky but luckily I do have cards that can help me deal with cash tiers, so I'm not too worried about them either. But generally, like any deck that is very graveyard reliant, you know, it's definitely a good way just to like screw with them basically. 3 Imperm is a pretty good stun option, and not to mention it is a hand trap, so I figured why not. And just a good way to just disrupt your opponent's plays. Alright, so that's it for those. Moving on to spells already. For spells, running 3 copies of Rainbow Bridge. Searches out any crystal spell and trap, and it's not once per turn, so you can activate as many of them as you want. 3 copies of Crystal Bond. Now this one is a hard once per turn, but you add a Crystal Beast monster from your deck to your hand, and then you can place one Crystal Beast from monster with a different name from your deck to the face-up spell and trap card zone as a continuous spell. So the fact that it basically pluses is really nuts. So essentially you can add Sapphire Pegasus and then place Crystal Beast Rainbow Dragon from this. So yeah, it's pretty broken. Next, 3 copies of Awakening of the Crystal Ultimates. And this card is pretty good because it essentially lets you add any Rainbow Bridge card or Rainbow Refraction from your deck to your hand by revealing an Ultimate Crystal monster from your hand. And if you control an Ultimate Crystal monster, you can activate both effects. And the second effect is that you can special summon 1 Crystal Beast monster from your... special summon 1 Crystal Beast monster card from your hand, deck, or graveyard, or spell and trap card zone. So, good way. Basically, it's a monster reborn, essentially. But yeah, it's pretty good. But the card you're mostly going to search off of the first effect is going to be Rainbow Bridge of the Heart. So in case if your Sapphire Pegasus gets negated or something, at least you have another way to summon out Crystal Beast monsters. So what this does is that during your main phase, you can normal summon 1 Crystal Beast monster in addition to your normal summon or set. You can only gain this effect once per turn. You can use each of the following effects of Rainbow Bridge of the Heart once per turn. During your main phase, you can destroy 1 Crystal Beast card you control or in your hand, and if you do, add 1 crystal spell or trap from your deck to your hand. If a Crystal Beast card or cards is placed in your spell and trap card zone even during damage step, you can target 1 card your opponent controls, return both that card and this card to your hand. So this card always recycles itself, which is pretty nuts. All right. Just to help me dig further into my deck, I'm running 3 copies of Pot of Prosperity. If you don't have access to Prosperity, you can play Pot of Extravagance instead. It's honestly just as good because you barely touch your extra deck at all with this deck, so you just have to build it accordingly to fit Pot of Extravagance. Because like honestly, yeah, you don't really draw cards, so like it really shouldn't affect you too much. 2 copies of Foolish Burial Goods since we do have targets for it. For the 1 Advanced Dark, again, this is just primarily for the Advanced Crystal Beast, but it does have a pretty neat effect. All Crystal Beast monsters on the field and in the grave become Dark monsters. If an Ultimate Crystal monster attacks, negate the effects of the attack target during the battle phase. During damage calculation, if a Crystal Beast monster you control battles and would take damage, you can send 1 Crystal Beast monster from your deck to the graveyard and you take no damage from that battle. And of course, we are running 1 copy of Necro Valley because, again, we don't want our opponent to take advantage of their graveyard. So, yeah, Necro Valley is just so good, especially against the tier limit strategy. So, yeah. All right, so that's it for our spells. For traps, we do have a pretty solid number of these. Starting off with 3 copies of Crystal Conclave. As I mentioned, this is a form of Crystal Conclave control deck. Because, again, the whole point is to constantly, like, swarm your field with Crystal Beast monsters. But, yeah, once per turn, if a face-up Crystal Beast monster you control is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can special summon 1 Crystal Beast monster from your deck, and then you can send this card face up from the field to the graveyard, then target 1 Crystal Beast card you control and 1 card you're on the field, return them to the hand. You cannot activate these effects in the same chain, so you could actually do like, yeah, basically use both effects in the same turn, and it's pretty nice. Next, 2 copies of Crystal Miracle. When a spell, trap, or monster effect is activated, destroy 1 Crystal Beast card you control, and if you do, negate that activation, and if you do, destroy that card. If a Crystal Beast card is placed on the spell and trap zone while this card is in your graveyard, even during damage step, you can banish this card, place 1 Crystal Beast monster from your hand, deck, or graveyard in your face-up spell and trap card zone as a continuous spell. You can only use this effect of Crystal Miracle once per turn. So yeah, it's really nice. And then lastly, 1 Rainbow Bridge of Salvation. So this card is actually pretty nutty. If there are 2 or more different monster types among the level 10 or higher on the field, shuffle all cards except this one from both players' hands, fields, and graveyards into the deck. Then each player draws 5 cards. You can banish this card from your graveyard, add 1 Crystal Beast monster and 1 field spell. So this actually can search out Necro Valley for you from your deck to your hand, and then you can only apply each effect of Rainbow Bridge of the Heart, or Rainbow Bridge of Salvation once per duel. I'm sorry. So yeah, so you can only both effects are one-time uses. So, but yeah, it's pretty broken. That's why you only need to run this at 1. All right, so for the extra deck, and again, it's fairly standard. Again, you almost never touch this extra deck whatsoever, but it can come up whenever you need it. There's generally like 1 or 2 monsters I always go into. But let's start with the fusions. 1 Ultimate Crystal Rainbow Dragon Overdrive. No need to explain this. This card gets really big, especially if you have 7 different Crystal Beast monsters of different names. 1 Rainbow Overdragon. For super poly targets, because I play it on the side, 1 Starving Venom, Dragostapelia, and 1 Garura. I just realized I haven't been paying attention to the camera angle. Sorry about that. So let me move these a little bit further this way. There we go. All right, so yeah, that's pretty much my fusion lineup. For Xyz, I only run 3 different ones. I got Tornado Dragon, I got Exciton Knight, and Abyss Dweller, which is probably going to be the one you're going to go into the most, simply because you do have several level 4s, both in which are easy to bring out. So yeah, it's easy to make this, and again, you just don't want, especially like the Shizu tier limits, you just don't want them to kick off. But again, for any other graveyard reliant strategy, this is pretty good. It's really strong against the branded matchup, especially now that Bystials are in the format. Well, actually, they've been in the format, but yeah, Bystials are a thing. So yeah, you just gotta like better prepare yourself for that. For my links, I am running the Wind Charmer, IP Masquerena, and yeah, that's just a standard link to have. I'm also running the Nightmare package, 1 Phoenix, Cerberus, and Unicorn, just all great cards overall. And for like the big ones, 1 Appaloosa, which happens to be a wind monster, so that's pretty nice. And of course, 1 Axis Code Talker. And yeah, just something like if I need to like clear out my opponent's boards, it's definitely the card to do that. All right, for the side deck, this so like I kind of had to like dabble on which ones I like the most, but I think for this upcoming format, I think these were the best cards to play. Against Kashtira's, Nibiru, like if I happen to come across the Kashtira matchup, this is definitely the go-to card. They actually lose to Nibiru. I'm running 3 Regekis. Some people are wondering, like, why not run Lightning Storm? Well, the thing is, Lightning Storm is a hard once per turn, whereas Regeki, it's not. And again, if my zones happen to get blocked out, I can easily just, like, Regeki, even if they have a way to negate it, I can just, like, activate another one, and it's like, oh, big deal. And the same thing can be said about Sprite players. Like, Sprite players like to flood their monsters with multiple disruptions. So, like, if they negate one, I can easily just activate another one right away, and boom, like, they're pretty much screwed right there. Next 3 copies of Super Poly. I might bump it down to 2 because I don't really think it's going to be too good. I mean, I could be wrong. I think it'll be fine, but it's very, like, matchup specific, so that's why. 2 Cosmic Cyclone. I might change these into Lightning Storm, but the only reason I chose this is because, like, if I need to get rid of my own Necro Valley, at least I have the way to do that. 2 Defissure. This card is super good because, like, it only banishes monsters. You could run Macro Cosmo instead, but keep in mind it does kind of conflict with your trap card effects, especially the ones that are in the graveyard, like that Rainbow Bridge of Salvation, so you don't really want to get rid of it. But Defissure, I think, is going to be the safer pick. I thought I had 3, but I only have 2 apparently, so that's why I decided to just play 2 for right now. And of course, one of the craziest side cards to have right now, 2 copies of Evenly Matched. And yeah, that's pretty much all I got for you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will catch you guys again next time.